Hello everybody and welcome back to this amazing webinar that we're having today, educational webinar of navigating my aged care. Today we're looking at short-term care, and we discussed earlier transitional care and short-term restorative. I was just having a mind blank. And now we're moving into the different types of respite care, of which there are community and also residential. And I guess overall today is looking at short-term care, which are limited time frames of care that are goal-centred to, I guess, achieve your goals and keep you at home as long as possible and as empowered as possible. Today is brought to you by OPAN, the Older Persons Advocacy Network, and I'm Marie Montgomery, your host, and behind us on IT is Tom. Thanks, Tom. I've got some amazing ladies here, so let me just introduce you all. I have Emma Williamson here from Community Services Program Manager at Shepparton Villages. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Kate Wilson. So Kate is the Transitional Aged Care Services Coordinator at Corowa Health, Murrumbidgee Local District Health District. So thank you again, Kate.
Thank you very much for asking me to come.
Yeah. And then finally down there, and you all know the lovely Maria Berry, amazing health consumer representative and aged care consultant for OPAN.
Thanks,
Welcome.
Marie. Thank you.
That's a pleasure. So let's jump in. Oh, sorry, a bit of housekeeping. Do the Q&A, right-hand corner. You'll find a little toggle there that you can text me your Q&A. We've had some great Q&A this morning already. There's lots of questions about this type of care because it's quite nuanced and there are certain eligibility criteria. And also carers out there. We've just had a discussion about the important role of and the enormous role of being a carer, and how aged care services can also assist in providing care for you, which is very important as well. All right, let's jump into what we're looking at today. First and foremost, we're looking at respite care and community respite care. So I might go, Emma, tell us, there are 3 types of community respite care, is that correct?
That's right. So there is community-based, so the day centre programs, where you might go for a whole day, you might go for a morning session, you might go for an afternoon session, and they generally have morning tea, afternoon tea, lunch. There might be day trips out around your region. You might go to the club as a group for lunch, or they might have different activities within the centre. And generally, yeah, that's just through the day. So you go, for the morning, or, as I said, a whole day. Then there is cottage-based respite, and that might be that you go somewhere for an overnight, or you might go for a weekend. So if your carer is going away, or if you as a carer are going away, you might find a cottage-based respite within your community, and your loved one or you as the loved one might be entering that, and it's just very, very short term, either single overnights or as a weekend. And then there's flexible respite, and that is delivered in the client's home, and it's an opportunity for the carer to actually have a few hours break from that caring role, time to go and pamper yourself. Please, we encourage carers to actually leave their loved one with the worker that is there for that time, and use that time to participate in the things that you want to participate in, or to go and have your hair done, or to just have time to do your errands.
Yeah, and that is so important to, I guess, re-engage in your lifestyle and what's happening with you and for you. You may have appointments or
Because if we don't look after our carers, the wheels get very wobbly across the whole family situation. So, we really emphasise looking after the carers.
Yeah, you do an amazing job. I can see Kate itching to say something here.
I was just thinking about something as Emma was speaking, for the carers especially to have a break, but also for the person requiring the care.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing in relationships that everyone wants to bring something new, a new conversation back to the table of the person that they spend most of their time with. So if the carer goes out and has a great morning and the person that's being cared for shares time with someone else, they've chatted about different things.
Yeah.
It adds another whole element to that relationship, which is so important, especially when you're spending 24 hours a day, nearly 7 days a week together.
After 50 years together.
Yep.
No, very important. That's a lovely point. Thank you so much. Did you want something to say on that as well, Maria?
I guess just reinforcing what Kate has said, it's really important that you do take that opportunity as a carer and for the person you're caring for. I myself have had the wobbly wheels and it's been a long road, so take those opportunities and use them. So great point, Kate. Thank you.
Yeah. Whilst we're on that, so we haven't discussed emergency respite. And emergency respite is, I think, pivotal in the time where you are most vulnerable and something has happened to you or your loved one where you need to find assistance. So let's talk about emergency respite. Which of you lovely ladies would like to take the wheel on that one? You can go for it. Yeah?
Okay, emergency respite, I guess, if you can plan ahead, if you know that things are going to come up, you're thinking that I'm not well, you're concerned about your own self, you may have some pending surgery, or you may find that things are just getting harder at home. It's just important that you act as soon as you can. In a situation where perhaps something goes drastically wrong, there is the Carers Helpline, the Australian Carers Line. Gateway.
Yeah.
The Gateway Care.
So you'll find that on the My Aged Care website link as well.
Yep. And certainly contact My Aged Care as well. If you are under a provider, make sure you contact your provider and have a talk to your case manager and let the team know what's going on, because they're also there to help you navigate and find, some solutions when emergencies just come up. So the more you're prepared for those situations, and I think we've mentioned in the past having a person as a representative, an authority to speak on your behalf if something goes wrong. They're all the steps that you can put in place beforehand.
Yeah, beautiful.
And
yes.
I think one of the, particularly for people in rural and regional areas where their family support network might not be actually there. So they can't just come and stay the night or, pick up the pieces. So that's when emergency respite, really comes to play, so that people are safe. And that's what it's all about, ensuring that people are safe to remain at home, or if they're not safe for that period for whatever, if something's happened to their carer, that we can get them into somewhere so that they can be looked after until a time that something else can be arranged.
So instances that or situations where emergency respite care might be needed: death of a primary carer, major illness or of a primary carer, or an urgent situation that makes it difficult for you or your carer. Any situation. So again, it's about being safe. So contact My Aged Care. Any other suggestions that they could contact, as you suggested, the providers, if they are getting some services. And I guess being prepared and having those conversations early.
And using the finder on the My Aged Care website, because often providers will have whether or not they provide emergency respite, or whether they the types of respite that they might be able to offer.
Great.
And so it's having those conversations.
Beautiful. Excellent. And don't forget the Carers Gateway as well. There's some really good tips and support networks there for you all. I've got a question come through, and it's from Rex. Thanks, Rex. Is there a set list of things that qualify you for emergency respite, or is it judged on a case-by-case basis?
Well, as you've mentioned, there are key situations such as the death of a carer, or a situation where someone just is no longer able to continue caring and it's no longer safe for that person to remain at home. So they're probably the bigger criteria. But then, yes, it is often on a case-by-case basis, and where there is some respite available.
Beautiful. Thanks for that. And that was a really good question, Rex. And everybody, just keep them coming in. We've got some amazing expertise in the room. So let's get them working, shall we? All right. So let's go back just quickly and cover community respite care again, just so that we've got clarity in the different types. So community respite is under the Commonwealth Home Supports program, and to those that are found eligible. So what is some of the eligibilities for the community respite?
So you generally need to have a regional assessment done, so a RAS assessment, rather than, you don't necessarily need to have an ACAT assessment to access community respite. So go through the My Aged Care portal, or dial the number and make sure that you are registered, and if you're specifically needing respite, community respite, then please pass that information through at the time that you make that call, and they'll then be able to send out a RAS assessor to do your assessment.
Great, fantastic. And that's, as we've said along the way as well, there are different streams for different services, and that the ACAT and the RAS assessors then will bring you forward. If you have one or the other do the assessment and they feel that you need something more, like if you have a RAS assessment and they feel that you need something more, they will talk to each other. So there's no, oh my gosh, I'm in the wrong line. It's just the process, really. Excellent, thank you. So again, we've got centre-based or based care, cottage respite and flexible respite. What do you find in regards to the three? Are they all utilised, I guess, as the same, or is one more utilised than another?
I think it depends on the area that you live in, and the providers that are in your area as to what funding they've been allocated. So you need to source your community as to what is available. I know that the places that have cottage-based respite are often, their weekends are booked well in advance, and a lot of families will have a regular booking put in, so that they know that every 6 weeks my husband's going to go to the cottage for the weekend, and that's my time to go and catch up with my daughter in Melbourne. And so flexible respite in the home is very common, where carers are coming in for 4 to 6 hours, or might be 2 hours, or might be longer, might be overnight. It just depends on the funding that's available. Okay, excellent. It's so important that we stress, I guess, the importance of having respite, and that it is a good thing, and a good thing for all as well. That we remove any stigma that's associated with, providing respite care. I think it's important for carers out there to realise that this is a really good thing. Kate.
Can I just say that a lot of the time I find with people going into respite, there can be a resistance to
Yeah.
begin with.
Yeah.
It's new, it's foreign. It's actually, I
don't wanna go.
I envision it's very scary.
I imagine
to think,
it would be too.
that I've lived in my home and now my children or carers are saying, I need a break and I need you
Yeah.
to go into respite, mum or
Exactly.
dad. And yeah, I think that could be very traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it's probably something that we need to be a bit proactive.
Yeah.
We need to take the time to go around to different facilities. If you have a choice in your area, go and engage, see whether you will like that facility.
Yeah.
Be prepared to give it a little try. And most of the time people are very happy with the
Yeah.
outcomes.
Yeah.
Most facilities are wonderful, lots of engaging, wonderful people there. And in turn, it becomes a bit like a little holiday for yourself. Yeah, so everyone comes home happy again and
Yeah.
recharged and ready to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And I think one of the great things with the flexible respite is that often, I know coming from a regional rural area that, we have farmers that have moved off the land and are now living in the unit in town.
Yeah.
And flexible respite actually gives them an opportunity to go out and see the beautiful canola crops and go for a drive with the carer that is coming into their home. So it's a win-win situation. The full-time carer gets that break, but the loved one at home also gets the opportunity to go and experience something in that time. So, you don't have to just sit at home during that flexible respite period.
No, highly encouraged to go out and do something. Beautiful, excellent. So we've got a question from Laurel. Now, Laurel has been sending us questions throughout this webinar series, and they've been great questions. So Laurel is unclear about emergency respite. What about a 1 a.m. emergency? For example, a carer needs to go to the hospital and a person with dementia will be left at home. What happens then? Anyone? Yeah?
I can't say for every state in Australia, but I can
Of
only
course.
say for what I've seen.
Yes.
Most of the time you would find that if the ambulance was engaged, the ambulance drivers in Australia are brilliant.
Yes, they do a great job, don't they?
Beyond amazing.
Yeah.
Next time you see an ambo, tell them what a good job
Yeah,
they're doing, because they
absolutely.
are. And they will not just walk out and leave somebody who is being cared for. It just shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
They will follow procedures and make sure that person is cared for or taken in with the carer who may have become unwell.
Okay.
And then, when daylight breaks, then, wheels are certainly put into action, and places are sought and services are sought.
Yeah.
Assess the situation and sort it. Yeah, definitely.
Beautiful. Excellent. And again, Laurel, another really good question. Cottage respite is excellent, but now, but how many are there? I know there are 3 in Australia. Do we know any figures? It's a tough question. I went off the cuff.
Off the cuff, I'm not sure. I know that in the area that we are, there are definitely 2 in this side of the region. You need to use that My Aged Care Finder
Provider tool.
and find just type click on the Cottage respite box.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's something in your area. But yeah, off the cuff, I'm not exactly sure.
Brilliant. Good. Thanks.
Can I
Yes.
just say that's a great question, Laurel, because it opens up another whole Pandora's box of
Laurel's
how,
good.
Yeah, of how we not that you want an emergency to happen, but we should all have that little bit of preparation.
Yep.
We were speaking before about wills and enduring powers of attorney and medical powers of attorney, which all sounds very confusing. But once you've organised all those things,
Yeah.
life's really good because you don't have to worry.
Yeah.
And a bit like your emergency access that you need, if you have done some research, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, you may have something on the fridge and say, well, that's where I want.
Yeah.
Great, that's fantastic. See what we can do when we put our heads together. All right, so one more question and then we'll move on to residential respite care. So we have Maxine. How do you approach a situation where there are no providers of respite care in your area that you are satisfied with or willing to go to? Now, Maxine, that's a tough question. We can't speak for providers in your area. I would recommend going back to my aged care and having that discussion with them, either through the call centre or, again, trying to see if there's a provider in your area that maybe you're happy with. I don't know. What do you think, Emma?
And also having the conversation with the provider.
Yeah, that's really
please don't be afraid to speak up, and if you've got issues with a provider, you need to make a complaint, so that, or not even a complaint, but have the conversation, and hopefully a resolution can be sought. It might be just that worker that's coming into your home isn't a match. We're all individuals, and personalities clash at different times.
Yes.
So having that conversation about, can we try another worker? Definitely have the conversation with the providers in your area.
Yeah, and Maxine, don't forget the Charter of Aged Care Rights. They were effective 1st July, and within those 14, it very clearly states that you have a voice, and this is your scaffold for your voice. And I think it's 14 that says you have the right to complain without any recourse. Yes. So, absolutely. Thank you.
I can say through my program, Maxine, that I have had a couple of instances where it hasn't been the right match between a carer going in, and it's been very easily resolved. It's just been a phone call, and this is not a good personality match. Can we try someone else? And the outcomes have been fine. And I know it's a little bit scary to think that you have to ring and say something that none of us like to say.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's your home. And everyone that walks through that door should be respectful to you and your home.
So right.
Definitely.
Thanks, Kate. All right. Comment from Laurel. Thank you. Good answers. There we go. Yay. We'll see you on the next one, Laurel. All right. So let's move now into residential respite. So residential respite in an aged care home is available for a few days through to a few weeks. Yeah, and it's best suited if you need ongoing continuous carer supports for most tasks. Okay, so how does this work?
So for accessing residential aged care, you do actually need an aged care assessment to get that. You're entitled to 56 days a year, and in some situations that can be extended. As you've mentioned, it's from a few days. Most people go in for a couple of weeks at a time in a block period, and different people will look at the different facilities in their area as sort of a bit of a it's the respite break for the carer, but it's also a bit of try before you buy.
Yes, absolutely.
So you see, and you get a feel for the facilities that really suit you. But yes, you definitely need that aged care assessment to be able to enter residential care.
Okay, so that means the contact centre, getting on board with my aged care, getting your referral or your AC number, and then getting a referral number and an ACAT assessment to get the residential aged care.
And each facility will have requirements prior to coming. There's paperwork to be filled out, and they will speak to you about the monetary side of things. Things like clothing needs to be labelled, special dietary requirements. And it's great to go in and sort through those things prior.
And having a GP in your area that will actually look after you whilst you're in residential respite. And if the situation came that you needed medical care, and also the facilities all need medication charts written up. Generally there's a requirement for a Webster pack, and so that all needs to be sorted before you go into the respite period.
So that's a really important sort of checklist there. You need your garments labelled and GP aware and Webster packs, and so there's a bit of planning involved in that. So
and the other thing we spoke about before is that there is certain times of the year where residential respite is at a high need. Christmas time, summer, family going away on school holidays. So you can't think, oh, okay, we're going in 2 weeks, we're going to get our loved one in, because often it just doesn't work like that. You need to really forward plan.
Okay.
And once again, as we've mentioned before about carers having breaks, you know, it is really important that that carers take the opportunity to plan ahead, and you might book, you know, 2 lots of respite throughout a year, and so you need to be on the planning foot to make sure that you get those in at the times that suit you, not leaving it sort of
to the last minute,
as you said, to the day before the trip.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So, and although we have sort of talked about it, the eligibility is very much dependent upon the provider themselves, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So I guess, you know, 65 and over and have a carer and some concerns at home. Yeah. Okay, beautiful. Oh, excuse me. We are live. All right. So, costing. How do we find out costing? So you said before that's would I imagine be in your service of care agreement with the provider themselves. So is there any way they can get an idea of costing before as part of the planning?
So it is about $51 a day.
Okay.
For each day that you are there, and that can vary from some providers, but generally it is $51 a day, and you need to have that conversation with your preferred facility prior to entering, and as you've said, it should be in the service agreement.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, this is what it's about.
I've got so much to say.
Great. Go for it.
I just like for everyone to have, you know, we all just want you to all have as much knowledge as possible.
Yeah.
And I know when I speak to people, and if you say $51 a day, some people go, oh my God, I can't afford that, you know. But when you sit down and think about it, that is your bed for every day, that is all of your washing done, it's your 3 meals a day plus morning plus afternoon tea, any activities you may be involved in, your electricity, your gas, your food. So if you sat down and worked out what you spend at home, it's actually very, very reasonable. So please don't shy away from that. And the other thing that people forget is that whilst you are in respite, you're not paying for any of those things at home. Your gas is not being used, your electricity, you're not putting food on the table. So it's just a mindset of how we think about things.
Yeah, and I think it's that mindset that we're sort of slowly chipping away with as well, is that empowerment in ageing positively, being prepared, ringing around a few providers and saying, hey, what can you provide me or my loved one when I go away in, you know, 6 months' time? And I think really taking the onus and owning, this is where I'm going because this is what it looks like to me, my ageing.
And may I just say, with all facilities, take the time and take somebody with you and ask to be shown through. That is your right. And a facility mightn't be modern or brilliant on the outside, but one of our beautiful nurses who is in charge of our aged care facility, she says, sit down and watch the interaction between the staff and the clients.
It'll give you a really good indicator.
Absolutely, straight off.
And it's the people within the facility that often
it's the heart.
Make it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Definitely.
Yeah, you can't judge a book by its cover, can you?
No.
Rex is back on board with a question. So, are subsidies available if people are financially disadvantaged or for residential respite?
You need to have that conversation with the provider as to what their arrangements are. I know that there are some organisations that do provide some funding support for respite, but you need to have those conversations with the provider.
Beautiful. Excellent. And thanks again, Rex, for your questions. So we're coming to the end of the day. The second webinar, they go quickly, don't they?
And we've got so much more to say.
Well, we've still got a few seconds. Come on, Kate, what else would you like to add?
When we first got here this morning, we were chatting about empowering yourself, and probably that's the biggest thing that we would all like you to take
Yeah.
away today is don't be scared to ask the questions. It's your body, it's your health,
Yeah.
it's your future.
It's your home.
It is your
Yeah.
home, and so regardless of if you're a little bit worried about asking a question, please do. No question is wrong. Gather as much information as you can and believe in yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how old you are. You have years of experience and wisdom,
Yeah.
and that's going to put you in a good place.
Yeah.
And just keep communication channels open.
Yes.
You know, with everybody involved in your care, because that's how issues can be resolved. It's how things can be made better. You don't have to sit and take things that aren't up to your standard. Not everything can be fixed, but certainly please have the conversations.
Yeah, beautiful, lovely. So the next webinars that we have coming up, look to Tom, he's taking a photo. Next ones we have coming up are going to be residential aged care. That's on the 16th of the 10th, and we'll have another amazing panel. And I would love to thank you ladies for your time, expertise and passion. It shines through today very, very clearly. So thank you so much.
Thank you for
Yeah.
inviting me.
We might have to do it again. I like these chicks. Alrighty.
They're pretty good.
So thank you everybody. Thank you for your input, and Laurel and Rex and Stephen for all your amazing questions, and we'll see you on the next one. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.